Hey, Mireya, it's Todd. How you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks. How are you?
I'm well. I just want to tell you up front here, it's a huge thrill for me to talk to you because I have been a big fan of Expedition Bigfoot and
Oh, great.
every other Bigfoot show that ever has existed. I'm in my 50s and I started watching stories about Bigfoot with Leonard Nimoy and In Search of.
Oh, wow, sure. Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm really glad that you're able to be on the show and that you're going to be here in Dayton next Thursday night. Uh,
Yeah, I hope. Are you going?
I am going to be there,
Oh,
100%.
good.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
fantastic. Please come up and say hi so I can meet you in person.
That would be awesome. Before I have some questions for you, as you I'm sure you expected about Bigfoot and your expeditions and the whole thing.
Uh-huh.
But shortly before I came in, I saw a video that you posted about the event at Victoria, and
Uh-huh.
you indicated that this is not going to be like a normal presentation, that there's something special. Can you give us a little bit of a tidbit?
Oh, so we're gonna just do a much deeper dive than we normally do, and we're gonna share some behind the scenes and that kind of stuff, which we don't normally do.
Okay. All right. Cool. Yeah. Because I've always wondered, with these expeditions, and I went back this past few days and watched. I'm through the first part of last season. I had already seen it, but I went back to watch it. And I'm always curious, like when you go out on these expeditions, how long are you gone? I mean, are you really out there for
Sure.
long periods of time, or
Yeah.
is this like, okay, we're going to shoot this in a day or two and then
Oh my
get the heck
God,
out of the
no.
woods?
No, and I mean, I think it comes across pretty clearly that we're not there a day or two.
Right. Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah.
at minimum, we are out there for 4.5 weeks for every 8 episodes. That's
Wow.
the general rule.
Oh my gosh. Now I'm hoping that you're not sleeping on the ground every single night.
We are.
Oh.
I mean, I invested in a little air mattress,
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
so it's not, it's not quite that
so
bad.
so you're not at a B and B somewhere.
No,
No.
no. I mean, it's part of, I mean, it honestly, it's part of the reason that I was, let's say selected to be on the team is that they wanted someone who was used to that. And I've
Right.
been doing this, not this as in Bigfoot, but this as in living in remote jungles for sometimes 10 months out of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, either sleeping in a hammock or in a tent.
So let me ask you that as a primatologist, I mean, you are rooted in the scientific method, and I'm sure that when this first came across your desk, hey, do you want to go searching for Bigfoot? You probably thought, does this really deserve my attention? Was that something that you considered at the beginning, or were you like, oh yeah, sign me up, I'm in?
Oh my gosh. I wish I could say I was all in. Not at all. I'll be honest. So how that came about is I did a show for History Channel called Expedition Africa years back.
Mm-hmm.
And I the network executive who was at History at that time moved over to Discovery. And when this came across his desk, apparently he immediately thought of me and reached out. And at first he hard sell about, I have this show and I would love to get you on the team. I think you'd be perfect for it. And I'm like, oh God, this sounds great. Sure. What is it? And he says, well, it's called Expedition Bigfoot. And I'm like, nope.
Yeah, yeah,
Not
yeah.
in not and I mean, frankly, because I didn't even I didn't know anything about Bigfoot. It's not something that I had ever had an interest in. I didn't know how I would even, help in any way,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
And then it took a lot of convincing, but when they said, "Look, the reason we want you is because you're going to come at it from a scientific perspective, an open mind, no sort of preconceived notions, and you're going to ground it in science." I thought, well, okay, now I'm getting more interested because at the end of the day, I'm an explorer and this is, I mean, if anything is at the heart of science, it's Bigfoot. It's like
Right. Right.
wonder and curiosity and that potential for like a real discovery in science. So funny enough, I reached out to Jane Goodall
I
and I
saw
said, what do
your
you,
I saw your interview with
yeah.
her. That's
And I,
amazing.
and I was like, Jane, what should I do here? Do you think I'm going to be, is this the end of my career?
Right.
Right? If I do this?
Yeah.
And I was so surprised by not just how enthusiastic she was that I did it, but how excited she was because she had wanted to pursue the search. So yeah, that's how that happened. So no, it was not an enthusiastic yes initially,
Yeah.
but now I'm glad I became a part of it.
Well, that's the thing I love about Expedition Bigfoot more than any of the other Bigfoot docuseries that have been on or the movies over the years, is that I really like the scientific approach that your team takes with this. It's not, and forgive me, I know there's going to be people out there who love these shows. It's not hillbillies running around in the woods with sticks banging on trees saying, Bigfoot, Bigfoot, where are you there? It's like a real sort of scientific approach to try to figure this out, either prove it or disprove it. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that we really wanted to be like, I wanted to treat this like any other expedition I had ever done. And I think we all wanted to approach it very seriously. And in part, for me, it was important that that I lend some credibility to the subject because I think, scientists included, dismiss it far too quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But also for the witnesses who take such a huge risk in sharing their stories, they deserve to be treated with dignity and respect, and kind of we need to get rid of the stigma because it is those reports that actually help move the needle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we wanted to do things a little bit differently.
So let me just ask you this. You've been on these expeditions, and I think if you were to take a poll of the American public, or just anybody, the thought of being alone in the woods at night would be one of those things that they would opt out of immediately. So when you've been out in the woods in those instances, can you think of a time when you were just chilled to the bone with something you heard or something you saw that just you thought, "Oh my gosh, this is this is the night Bigfoot takes me out."
So it's a complicated answer because I have an unusually high threshold. Like I don't get scared easily. And
Oh.
again, it comes from the fact that I have spent most of my adult life in some of the most remote and unexplored parts of the world. And, I'm there at night and you hear stuff at night so it's like, it takes a lot to scare me.
Yeah.
But I will say that there were like very sort of hair raising, eyebrow raising moments where I didn't know what the heck was happening or what I was seeing. Or why we were seeing it. We had some, what I guess people would describe as, and I hate it, it pains me to say it, but like paranormal moments
Mm-hmm.
that I know what I saw. And I was with, one time I was with, one of my teammates, another time I was with the cameraman, and we both confirmed what we saw, and it matched up. And I cannot explain it with science or logic or just anything.
Right.
And it's not fear so much as it is like frustration that I cannot explain it.
Yeah.
Like that's
And
really it. It's frustration.
I don't think that I've ever seen you run. And what I mean by that is there's other Bigfoot docuseries I've watched where you've got these big husky guys out in the woods, and
Mm-hmm.
something snaps or something triggers them and they take off running in the opposite direction, which in my head
Right.
it's like, that's not what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to encounter, you're supposed to come
Yeah.
face to face. This is what the American public wants to see, and you do that. I mean, I don't see you backpedal and go, "Oh, we better go the other
No,
way," you know? So I appreciate that
no.
about you.
I definitely don't turn away if what I am if I think that what I am looking for is, ahead of me, I'm not going to run the other way.
Right.
And if anything, I mean, I have run, but always towards the direction of, whether it was a thermal or a sound
Right. Yeah.
or
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I wanna see it. I wanna investigate. I want to find that physical, irrefutable evidence that we're out there searching for. You
So,
can't do that if you backpedal.
right. Yeah. Yeah. So, on that subject of evidence, I know from what you've said already, when you started this, you were maybe a bit of a skeptic. Are you still a skeptic? Are you a believer? Are you somewhere in between? And if you are a
I'm
believer,
none of those.
none. Okay.
No, so I think so skeptic to me has a very negative connotation.
Okay.
I am a scientist and I have a very open mind. So do I think it's possible? I absolutely do. Am I a believer? No, it has nothing to do with belief. The better question is do you have the evidence? Also, no, right?
Right.
We've had some incredible finds, and I mean some that something is going on. There seems to be something out there that should not be in North American forests, or rather that we don't know or have not yet really confirmed are in North American forests. But I'm not a skeptic in that I'm not coming in with a sort of a closed mind and trying to make the data fit, what my expectation is. But it takes irrefutable physical evidence um, to get something that has been, a legend and a lore
Right.
for so long into the science books. And I don't yet have that, but I will say there are things that happen on these expeditions that never happened to me before on any other, that cannot be explained. And initially, I sort of dismissed it because it just seemed like, I don't know, a fluke, a coincidence, just something strange. But when you start seeing that same strange thing, or like what Bigfooters, uh, is that a word? I
I
just
think you
made it
just
up,
made it a
maybe.
word. Yeah.
Amazing.
Put
Let's
that in the
coin that.
dictionary.
Absolutely. If they see something that looks like what is referred to as a tree structure, right? Initially, it's like, well, it's like a pile of sticks, anyway, go on and on. But the point is, if I see it over and over and over and across many different locations, now it's interesting because now it's a pattern, and scientists love patterns, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like it doesn't give us the immediate answer that we're looking for, but it's very much like looking at a big puzzle and you have all these pieces and they kind of don't make sense all at once. But when you start taking those pieces and putting them together, they start to make that picture you're looking for. And so for sure my mindset has changed in like how I look at some of these strange finds, let's call it, right? There's a lot of high strangeness that goes on.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's not evidence, but it's also, it cannot be dismissed.
So, do you think in your investigations that if there is this creature known as Bigfoot, do you think it is more based in the origins are more primate, or and I understand evolution, so when I say primate or human, I know the connection. But do you think
Hmm.
it's more like a humanoid kind of thing, or is it more ape? I mean, how would you, because so many of the things that I
Yeah.
see on the shows, and I, some shows I take with a grain of salt, right? It's like, okay, I know this is probably a setup, but I don't feel that way when I watch your show. I feel like I couldn't tell you I couldn't tell you if it's more human or more ape, because there are some things that I totally see animals, sort of.
Hmm.
But then I think animals generally aren't this clever or
Right.
good. I don't,
It's such a tough question because, in so many instances, a lot of the findings are sort of very similar to what I see in Africa with great apes, for example. And a lot of the reports, the behavior, the appearance, all of that lend themselves to believing that this is a large, North American ape. Having said that, you hit the nail on the head. Jane Goodall, when I asked her, why do you think we haven't, found bones, right? She said, well, it's very possible they're smarter than we are. Um, and I think humans tend to think of themselves as the smartest,
yeah, yeah,
of
right.
in the animal kingdom. But maybe it is true that there is a non-human primate that is actually smarter. I don't know, or it is more humanoid. The other thing is that a lot of people will describe what they see as being very human-like. But I take that with a grain of salt, because if you've ever been to a zoo and you've stared into the eyes of a gorilla, I mean, it's like there's a person looking back at you.
Right.
It's not like when you look at any other animal and they're looking at you and they're seeing dinner, right? It's
Yeah,
different
yeah.
with the great apes. So it's very difficult to say, but definitely a primate. And of course, the confounding thing is, well, we are primates as well.
Yeah, right. So when you look at you are in contact with many people in this field of work. You hear about all of the different sightings that people have, all these different experiences. What would you say, percentage wise, if you had to guess, of everything
Hmm.
that you see and hear about, and the general public as well? I mean, we've had a couple of Bigfoot sightings here in Ohio over the last 4, 5, 6 months, sort of in eastern, sort of the southeastern part of the state, not necessarily near
Hmm.
Dayton. But when you hear that, what percentage do you think are either hoaxes or misidentification? Do you really think that it's as widespread as we seem to hear? I mean, this is like there's sightings from coast to coast. And it's just odd
Yes.
to me that because most creatures, that's not, it's unless they're like, squirrels and raccoons, there's not mountain lions in Dayton, Ohio, right? They don't, do you know what I'm
Well,
saying? It's just
sure.
like, it
You
seems
need
crazy that they're all over the
well,
place.
you need the right environment, right? Like,
Yeah.
so what do they need? What does any animal need? It needs resources, right? Like abundant resources.
Right.
It
Yeah.
needs shelter and it needs water. And the areas where these sightings are being reported are, of course, areas that could sustain, a large population of bears and other large predators and have a lot of prey. And so, sure, is it conceivable that those areas could sustain something that large? I think so. Yes, right there. But
Yeah.
they're probably not going to be hanging out in Dayton unless they're ordering fast food somewhere.
Or down in the
But
Oregon district. Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
But the really exciting thing and why I'm like thrilled to be going to do this in Ohio is the fact that number one, Ohio is the number 4 state in the US for top number of sightings,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So it's a hot spot. And then you've got this very unusual, meaning very high clusters of reported sightings in just the last couple of months. I believe as many as 6 to 8 sightings in
Yeah.
a week.
Yeah. Yep.
And what's funny is when you look at a map, and I'm going to talk about this when I'm in Dayton, when you look at a map and you see the dates for the reported sightings and the distance from each reported sighting, right? It is actually very conceivable that let's call it a group, a family group, I mean, however
Hmm.
these things may be traveling, if they're out there, could cover that distance when you look at other primates and other animals and the amount they cover. Now, obviously, look at humans. Humans are widespread, and if you look at our ancestral history, right, like where humans originated and sort of the evolutionary, right, how far traveled
Oh yeah,
humans are.
yeah.
You don't see that level of, let's say, migration with primates. However, if we are looking at something, as you mentioned before, is it more ape? Is it more human? We don't know. But the amount of distance between those sightings, and especially when you look at the chronological order of the dates, it's actually very conceivable that these animals could have traveled to these places, and that's why people were seeing them. It's also interesting that it happened at the time where you guys had a lot of snowstorms,
Yeah.
right? It was a
Yep.
pretty harsh winter,
Yeah.
and it seems to be taking place right when that starts to clear up. Now, of course, that's also when more people are going to be out, right? So their chances of seeing something from, by people is obviously going to also be
Right.
higher.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
a lot of sort of confounding elements, but I do think that if you have now tens of thousands of eyewitnesses reporting these creatures throughout the United States, I think that there are a lot of misidentifications. I think that there are definitely a lot of hoaxes, but I also know that there are a lot of discoveries. There are new discoveries happening all the time. And so all you need out of those tens of thousands of reports, all you need is one
Right.
to be
Yeah.
true,
Yeah.
and the search is still worth it.
Yeah. I gotcha. I gotcha. All right. Well, one last question, and I'll let you go. So, what's the future of Expedition Bigfoot?
That is the golden question. So we don't know. We were told we weren't canceled, but we also haven't received a date.
Okay.
So the answer is we don't know yet. There's a lot of, let's call it influx, right, at the networks. That's across the board
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
mergers and all sorts of things. But we hope soon. And look, in the meantime, Russ and I are very committed to continuing the search. And I am especially committed to trying to find answers to this long held mystery.
Well, I'd love to have you guys come search in Ohio.
Oh, that's in the books. And
Oh,
especially now with everything going on, we will
yeah.
be there.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, Mireya, I really appreciate it. Dr. Mireya Mayor, she's going to be at the Victoria Theater on Thursday night, the 14th, with Russell Acord, who, by the way, that guy is a brute. Holy cow. That guy, I want when the apocalypse begins, I want to be in his group.
Right.
I mean, he's going to take care of us all.
Absolutely. He is one tough guy.
Yeah. All
It's
right.
going to be a lot of fun.
Well, if you want tickets for this, you can get them at DaytonLive.org. Once again, it's a night of Bigfoot with Dr. Mireya Mayor and Russell Acord at the Victoria Theater. Thank you so much for chatting with me. I really do appreciate it. And I'm a big fan. And if I get the chance to meet you on Thursday, I would love to get a picture.
Absolutely. You got it. See you on Thursday, Todd. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.